Prabhupada. My dear Father, you know everything, and you are the controller of all. Therefore, may all that I have inquired from you be kindly instructed to me, so that I may be able to understand it as your student. Please repeat. My dear Father, you know everything.
You know everything.
And you are the controller of all.
And you are the controller of all.
Therefore, may all that I have inquired from you be kindly instructed to me. So that I may be able to understand. It as your student.
Gaudiya Prabhu, if you can just give me a moment, please. Okay, now I just wanted to check with you. You are going to do the next verse as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're all set.
Okay. So, purport. The inquiries made by Narada Muni are very important for everyone concerned. And as such, Narada requested Brahmaji to deem them suitable so that all others who may come in the line of disciplic succession of the Brahma Sampradaya may also know them properly without any difficulty. So I'll go right to the next verse. Here Brahma answers. So he's speaking now. Brahmavacha samyak karunikashedam vatsate vichikitsitam yadaham choditaha somya bhagavad virya darshane. Translation. Lord Brahma said, my dear boy Narada, being merciful to all, including me, you have asked all these questions because I have been inspired to see into the prowess of the Almighty Personality of Godhead. Purport. Brahmaji, being so questioned by Naradaji, congratulated him. For it is usual for the devotees to become very enthusiastic whenever they are questioned concerning the Almighty Personality of Godhead. That is the sign of a pure devotee of the Lord. Such discourses on the transcendental activities of the Lord purify the atmosphere in which such discussions are held, and the devotees thus become enlivened while answering such questions. It is purifying both for the questioners, and for one who answers the questions. The pure devotees are not only satisfied by knowing everything about the Lord, but are also eager to broadcast the information to others, for they want to see that the glories of the Lord are known to everyone. Thus the devotee feels satisfied when such an opportunity is offered to him. This is the basic principle of missionary activities. Jai Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshus Unmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakada Mayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vanchakopa Tubhisja Kripa Sindhu Bhavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So the verses again. Etan me prichataha sarvam sarvagyas sakaleshvaraha vijanihi yatai vedam aham buddhe nusasitaha. My dear Father, you know everything, and you are the controller of all. Therefore, may all that I have inquired from you be kindly instructed to me, so that I may be able to understand it as your student. So Prabhupada says that these inquiries are very important for everyone concerned, and is asking Lord Brahma, his father, to deem them suitable so that others who may come in his disciplic succession may also understand them properly without difficulty. So the next verse. Brahmavacha samyak karunikashedam vatsate vichikitsitam yadaham choditaha somya bhagavad virya darshanehe. So this is the verse that has that word I showed you in the beginning, vichikitsitam, inquisitiveness. So Lord Brahma said, "My dear boy Narada, being merciful to all, including me, you have asked all these questions because I have been inspired to see into the prowess of the Almighty Personality of Godhead." So here is congratulating his son for asking such a nice question because it's relating to Krishna. So he's very enthusiastic about that. And this is a devotee. He becomes very enlivened. He inquires submissively. He hears, he reads, he studies, he becomes enlivened, so enlivened that he wants to go out and preach it to others. So this is the missionary activities of our Krishna consciousness movement. So here it's called the Parampara system. Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajarshayo Vidu Sakaleneha Mahata Yoga Nasta Parantapa. So the Bhagavad Gita explains how this was explained to the sun god, and then the sun god, explained it to his disciple, his son. As the translation is here, this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So this is how it should be handed down very carefully, just like they have the mango tree in India or wherever. They station persons in different parts of the tree so that the mangoes could be picked and they could be carefully handed down so that they don't get damaged and bruised and cracked open and then they're spoiled. So in the same way, this is a very supreme, wonderful science that has to be carefully handed down. And this is what Prabhupada has taught in this particular way, and this is what Narada Muni is using himself as an example, and Lord Brahma is also an example, that they're very enlivened to hear these inquiries. And he's explaining to him, Lord Brahma is saying, actually, see, this I am actually, created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I have been inspired and enlightened by him. So he's explaining this he'll be explaining this to his son. Who is the source of everything? And you think that I am the Supreme Personality, but actually, no, I am not. I am just a secondary servant in charge of this particular universe. And as we see also, we see this has also been handed down through Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Pariksit. Questions and answers, inquiries, these are there, they're important. And this is what we're doing. We're repeating the same thing that was repeated from Sukadeva Goswami. As the sages of Naimisharanya, they also were repeating what Sukadeva Goswami said. See, this is also another, as that verse goes, "O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self." So here they're again repeating the same idea, that they're completely enlivened by this, and they're so concerned about the welfare of people in general that they become satisfied, because they know it will satisfy everyone. It will satisfy the soul. So this is the Bhagavatam. It's the absolute truth that has to be known. And these are questions the sages of Naimisharanya, they're asking, and because they relate to Lord Krishna, then everybody will become satisfied. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that there's nothing more to be known than him. So everyone should have this urge to search for him. So these questions, if they pertain to Krishna, then it's the sum and substance of all the Vedic literatures. Because Krishna, he's our most intimate master, he's our friend, he's our father, he's our son, he's actually the object of our conjugal love. So forgetting this, we've created so many questions and answers about other things, but they're not able to give us complete satisfaction. But all things without Krishna, they only give temporary satisfaction. So if we want complete satisfaction, then we have to actually bring our questions and answers about Krishna. It's like we have so many zeros. You know, you can have a million, billion zeros, but they're useless. But once you bring in that one of Krishna, then they become very valuable. It's even described how we cannot live for a moment without being questioned or without giving answers. And this is what the Srimad Bhagavatam deals with. It deals with questions and answers that are related to Krishna. And in that way we can derive the highest satisfaction simply by reading and hearing this transcendental literature, which we're doing today. So if we read the Bhagavatam, we understand it, then we can actually make an all-around solution to all the problems of life, whether they're social, political, religious matters. They can all be satisfied. We could get a solution to all the problems in these different fields. So the Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna is the sum total of all things, Prabhupada says. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different than Krishna. So we see this going on through spiritual master-disciple, enlightening the disciple in the knowledge of Krishna, and that how we have from time immemorial, due to envy of Krishna, have been wandering, in the cycle of birth and death because we have been identifying with our body, being inimical towards Krishna. But we are so fortunate. We are saved from this birth and death, suffering the threefold miseries by some unimaginable good fortune by the spiritual master, who explains to us that we are actually completely different from this subtle and gross body, and that we are an eternal servant of Krishna. So therefore, by his order, he engages us in his devotional service. And then we follow his footsteps and we engage in the service of Krishna and in spreading his messages throughout the world. So here's Narada Muni, also instructing the king, explaining to him the science of Krishna consciousness, the solution to all problems. That's why it says that this science was given to saintly kings. It's important. The kings are supposed to be the leaders of society. They're supposed to be the ones who look after the welfare of everyone. So what is the supreme welfare? Is to bring satisfaction to the soul. Is to bring a solution to all the problems. So this is what the kings would do. They would inquire from great saintly personalities, and they would get enlightened, and they'd be able to help their subjects. So here's Narada Muni, another opportunity to preach to all the sons of Daksha. Great opportunity, turns them all into pure devotees. Even though at the risk of becoming cursed or chastised by their father. So in the same way, we take up this curse and we spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, just for the benefit of everybody. Narada Muni even preached to the child within the womb, which was Prahlad Maharaj. And in turn, Prahlad Maharaj is preaching the same philosophy to his friends. So you see how this is going on. It's a whole theme throughout the entire Bhagavatam, is this questions and answers, hearing and repeating, understanding and explaining, and then learning it yourself and then explaining it. And it goes on and on through the chain of disciplic succession. In a similar way, the Yamadutas, they also thought that Yamaraj was the supreme being when they were, thwarted in their attempt to arrest Ajamil for his sinful activities. But they didn't know the power of the holy name. They didn't know the power of Krishna. So they inquired from their leader, there must be somebody greater than you. How could they stop us from your order? So he became enlivened. Also, just like Lord Brahma became enlivened, because now it reminds him of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Mystic, the Supreme Powerful Personality. So he enlightens the Yamadutas and explains to them who is actually the real controller, and who you should actually approach, and who you should not approach, And you should not approach those who are chanting the holy names of the Lord. Because we're in touch with Krishna. Krishna is protecting us. So it's so important that we always remain in touch by hearing, by chanting, by reading, by discussing, philosophizing about Krishna. This is our life. This is what we do. This is who we are. Even Krishna, he comes and he learns from his teacher to show an example. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the most powerful person and mystic, he comes himself and takes the role of a child and learns from a teacher, from a spiritual master. So this shows you, Krishna wanted to show how powerful his devotees are. And by Krishna's grace, they actually become more powerful than himself. Just like the example of Lord Ramchandra, he attempted the bridge in the Indian Ocean to reach the island of Lanka. But Hanuman, the unalloyed devotee of Krishna, of Lord Ram, he crossed it just simply by jumping over it. So the Lord is so merciful that his pure devotees, they can actually become more powerful than himself. Another example is Durvasa Muni. Even though the Muni is so powerful and he could reach the Lord directly, under material conditions, but Durvasa Muni was saved by Maharaj Ambarish, a devotee of the Lord. So not only is the devotee more powerful than the Lord, but he's also should be worshipped of the devotee, is considered to be more effective than worship of the Lord. Mad Bhakta Puja Vyadika. That's from the 11th Canon quote, that by performing first-class worship of my devotees, that's what we should do, Krishna explains. So this is the Krishna wanted to show, just like he empowered Arjuna, he empowered so many devotees to do more things greater than him. Because he loves that. That's his pastime. And he empowered his devotee, Srila Prabhupada, to come to the West, spread this Krishna consciousness movement about Krishna, explain these teachings to us in the same way. It's been amazing what he did. He described that actually Srila Prabhupada did more than the Lord. Lord Chaitanya only spread the movement in India, but Srila Prabhupada spread the movement all over the world. But yet Srila Prabhupada never thought that, that it's me, it's that. He just said, no, I never really. Actually, Lord Chaitanya he did everything, but he's just giving me the credit. So this is a pure devotee. They're very humble. They don't think they're the most powerful personalities, but they actually know that it's Krishna who's empowering them, and they're very humble. But yet Krishna empowers them to where they do greater things than himself. This is Srila Prabhupada. So this is how the disciplic succession is coming. In some of the final instructions Srila Prabhupada gave, he said the printing of his spiritual books is our life force. We have to print more books. He said this material body is only bones, but go on printing. This is life. We're not concerned with bones and stones, but our concern is with the living force. Apariyam itastva anyam prakritam vidi me param. So the living force, that's sustaining these bones in the material world. So people are all just simply trying to protect their bones and flesh. They don't have any spiritual idea. And this is what we're doing. Srila Prabhupada came to show us that we're not this material body. We're not this subtle body and this gross body, but we're something more than that. We're an eternal spirit soul, a part and parcel of Krishna, and we're his eternal servant. So Prabhupada came to teach. Here's Srila Prabhupada as an example. In the order of his spiritual master, he made so much endeavor to print these books on his own with what little he had, and he would distribute these books to try to fulfill the order of his spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada said that we are in this line of disciplic succession. My spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, is number 10 in the disciplic succession. And Srila Prabhupada says, I am number 11, And all my disciples, they are number 12. So there's a disciple, Srila Prabhupada. In another one of his final instructions, he said, you disciples, you're all intelligent and experienced men. You can go on managing this movement. If I depart, there is no cause for lamentation. I will always be with you through my books. And he also said that I'll always be with you through my orders. So I will always remain with you in that way. And then once Prabhupada was asked that, who would succeed you as a leader of the Krishna consciousness movement? So Prabhupada replied that all of my disciples, they will take the legacy. If you want, you can also take it. Sacrifice everything. He said, I'm only one. I may soon pass away, but there are hundreds, and this movement will increase. It is not that I will give an order. Here's the next leader. Anyone who follows the previous leader is a leader. I don't make any distinction between Indian and European. All my disciples are leaders, as much as they follow purely. If you want to follow, then you can also lead. But you don't want to follow. Leader means one who is a first-class disciple. Evam parampara praptam. One who is perfectly following. Our instruction is Guru Mukham Pada Padma Vakya. Do you know this? Arna Kariha Mane Asha. My only desire is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from the lotus feet of my spiritual master. So to become a leader is not very difficult, provided one is prepared to follow the instructions of the bona fide Guru. So some of the statements Srila Prabhupada said, there were some Indian gentlemen approached Prabhupada and they were asking him, wanted to ask him some questions in private, so he asked the devotees to leave the room. But before they left the room, they put the tape recorder on, and this is what Prabhupada, they were just curious about that, who would take the legacy when you pass. So this is what Prabhupada said. He was explaining to them that those, if you want to take the legacy, you can. But he didn't appoint any one person. He appointed all his disciples to become the next leader. And we have to purely follow. If we become the pure disciple, then we can lead. We could become the pure leader, like that. So the conclusion is that a serious devotee, he has to first approach a spiritual master who's not only well versed in the Vedic literatures, but is also a great devotee. He has factual realization of the Lord and his different energies. Without the help of such a devotee or a spiritual master, one can't make any progress in spiritual life. So just like the bona fide spiritual master, Lord Brahma, Sukadeva Goswami, all these different devotees that we've seen, but they don't only just speak about the Lord, about his internal potencies, but they also explain how he associates with his external potencies, which you'll learn more in this chapter and in these verses as we go on through the Bhagavatam. So here's Srila Prabhupada enlightening his devotees in just practical ways, in enlivening ways, about Krishna and how he deals in the material world, giving devotees wonderful realizations and enlivening the heart, enlivening the soul, bringing satisfaction to the soul. This is what the real person who knows the answers to our questions, who knows the real answers, who actually knows the real questions even. This is Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, in some of his final instructions also, he said, have Sankirtan, this congregational chanting of God's holy names. All Europeans, Americans, Africans, this is a United Nations under Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's flag. He said, just do everything just as I've shown you. It is possible. This is the real United Nations. You try under the protection of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all things will be successful. Others will simply waste their time and be disappointed. They will change from one body to another and suffer. So just see, there isn't any real kings today that are supposed to be looking after the citizens. Even our own presidents, politicians, leaders, whatever. They are not doing this. They're not concerned, as it seems, as it's shown, as it's proved, about the real welfare of the citizens. They're mainly exploiting the citizens. So who's doing this now? It's supposed to be the great Rajarsis and kings. So these great souls, these great personalities in the disciplic succession, they're empowered to actually save humanity, to spread the knowledge of Krishna, and really answer the real deep questions about who they are and what is their position, what is their dharma. So this is Lord Chaitanya's movement. This is who we are. We are doing this. We're hearing and we're simply repeating, becoming enlightened. So as Prabhupada said, we first have to be pure. We have to cleanse our hearts. And Lord Chaitanya has shown, just by cleaning the Gudicha temple, whatever you clean, it's like cleaning your heart. And there's so many gross, filthy things, and there's very subtle things in our hearts. So we have to constantly cleanse these things away, constantly, daily, every day. We have to hear these transcendental cleansing vibrations, these cleansing waters of the words that emanate from the lotus mouth of our spiritual masters in the disciplic succession. And in this way, we actually become pure ourselves, we become satisfied, become happy, and then we're just boiling over with enthusiasm to spread Krishna consciousness. And this is our preaching mission. This is what the missionary spirit, as Prabhupada mentions in the purport today. So this is ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and it includes all of us. We're all meant to be leaders. It's not that we have to have a title to lead, but you can lead without a title. You just follow purely, and you can lead. We are taking up the legacy of Srila Prabhupada to become his leaders, become his follower and his leader. So it's open for everyone. And now we'll open it for questions and answers. More questions, realizations, anybody would like to have? If I didn't lose you?
No. It takes me a while to unmute everybody, but I did it. Everybody's unmuted right now. Anyone have a question or a comment?
I'm sorry, it took me a moment to unmute myself. Couldn't find the unmute button. Very nice class, Prabhu. When you were talking about how the Lord empowers his devotees to do greater things in him, I was getting ready to jump in with Prabhupada because you gave so many examples, and then you stole it from me at the end. You mentioned it was kind of like it was. It's almost like the quintessential example, especially because it applies so much to us. And I love when you said that even what Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and all the great elevated devotees, Haridas Thakur, what they didn't do, Prabhupada did. He made him more powerful than anyone, and we're all so, we should be so grateful, and we are certainly indebted.
Jai, that's true. Jai.
I was also thinking you talked an awful lot about question and answers, and I always see that as an opportunity to make a plug for how important it is to have questions or comments at the end of each of our classes. That's Prabhupada would become very disturbed when devotees didn't have a question at the end. I mean, it's our duty to enlighten. Actually, one of the purports, I don't have that in front of me right now, but how both the speaker and the listener benefit equally by this discourse of question and answer and question and answer.
Right.
And it's our duty as a sign of appreciation to our speakers to have a question or make a comment at the end of our classes. It's I know I just always felt that as my duty listening to the classes. If we get towards the end and I don't have a question ready, I feel like I haven't been a good listener.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's last night. We have a program in our place every other week, and there's one nice, I'll call now a congregational member who's been coming by for I guess it's been several months now, and so I asked for questions, and he asked just a wonderful question. Actually, I don't remember the exact question, but it was so obvious that he'd been reading and that he'd been studying. Because let me think of the question. It was something to do with the fact that it's in the age of Kali Yuga. The fact he knew Kali Yuga in this age. How is it that how is it through the chanting that we'll realize God? He mentioned that God appears as his energy. In the chanting, he's there as his energy. How will we realize him? Of course, my answer was that it's not just he appears as his energy in an impersonal way. He's personally present in his name. It's not just there as some great force in his name. God is there dancing on the tip of our tongue and entering into our ear, into our heart, in the sound vibration of his name. But the way he articulated the question was so enlivening to me.
Yeah.
To see that when he came, he knew absolutely nothing, zero. We hadn't even discussed we're not the body, and to see just in several months, he was able to pose such a thoughtful question indicating his advancement in spiritual life that I became very, he was enthusiastic to ask that question. He had it written down. And then I became very enthusiastic here, and I could see that not only him and I, but everyone else, the group of our guests that were all sitting around listening, everyone became enlivened by that question. So I really like that you brought it out. Now, question and answers, it's just going on everywhere, in every venue, question and answers, not just the humans, but even the animal species, question and answers, question and answer. What a waste when the questions and answers have nothing to do with Krishna. And what a wonderful thing when the questions and answers are related to Krishna. And just by that, the question and answers which we see all throughout our scriptures. In Bhagavad Gita, it's all questions and answers. It's Arjuna inquiring from Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam, King Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami and Sutta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya headed by Shanaka Rishi and Maitreya and Vidura and Judd Bharat and King Rahugana. I mean, gosh, we could probably list how many dialogues of question and answers. I can't think of them all.
Then we'll add a picture. We'll add a picture of you, because you're an example of the same topic, of Narahari and his program, and all the guests there asking questions, and everybody enlivened.
But we all know that
you're the perfect example.
It's so enlivening when someone asks us a question.
Yeah, isn't it though? It's amazing.
It's really enlivening. Because we know that we're going to feel the power of Krishna going through us. We're going to feel the potency of Prabhupada just running through us. That we just become a humble conduit. Krishna Shakti Vinane Tara Pravartana. That's such an ecstasy to feel ourselves an instrument to the spiritual sound going through us to someone else's heart. They're benefiting, we're benefiting, everyone listening benefits. Anyway, I love that subject matter. So thank you, Prabhu. Great class.
Thank you. It's a good example.
I have a question.
Okay.
Two things I noticed in verse 9. Vatsa, so dear one, so Bhakta Vatsala. I'm curious. And, Krishna's, his devotee is very dear to him. Bhakta Vatsala, so Vatsa, my dear boy. And then, but my question was in regards to Vichir. How come I can't say this? Vichikirchitam. What a tongue twister! I can't say it.
That's in verse 10. Yeah.
Oh.
Vichikirchitam. Yeah. Oh, it's 9. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm 8 and 9. I thought it was 9 and 10. You're right.
Anyway, I was just thinking I've heard that word before, so I looked in the word for word, and yeah, it's inquiries. In one place it says doubtful inquiries, but chikirshitam without the chikirshitam, it means remedial measures. I don't know if you have any idea, but how does that turn into inquiries?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
I kind of have a speculation on it, but I was wondering. I would just kind of throw it out. Does anybody know?
So how did you break down the word? It's broken down how?
If you take the VI out and
okay.
the chikirshitam, it becomes remedial measures or treated with.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's nice. Nice point.
If nobody has, I can give a speculation, if whatever it's worth, philosophical speculation.
Let's hear it.
Well, I was just thinking that maybe Chikirshitam refers to trying to, because Srila Prabhupada in lectures, I've heard him use this word before in relation to Prahlad Maharaj. There's a verse I haven't had it memorized, but this whole world is full of problems, and we're simply looking for remedial measures for how to counteract the difficulties.
Yeah.
So when it somehow or other, when it becomes Vichikirchitam, it means that you're asking questions to solve the problems.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Ties in good. Because we're looking for solutions. How do we look for solutions? By asking, questions and answers. Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm not sure, but I was kind of speculating maybe that's how it works. Anyway, throwing that out there.
Sounds good.
Go. There's something that you mentioned when you were speaking. You just sort of passed by it. It was, I don't know, something we've all heard before. I've heard it many times, but somehow when you said it, it just really popped in my brain. I know I'm going to be thinking about that for days. And that is that you mentioned that when we engage in devotional service, and you may have said specifically pure devotional service, but I think that would be the case, all of our problems are over.
Mm-hmm.
And, everyone has so many problems. I mean, our life is just full of problems. And as soon as we become Krishna conscious and we truly, factually realize that this material world, all these so-called problems, they don't apply to the soul.
Yeah.
It's just like an actor who's in a play. There's so many problems in the role in which he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of what has been written as the play. But when we realize that we're just playing a role, and this isn't our home, and this isn't us, our soul is completely aloof from all the problems of this world. It solves every single problem by becoming Krishna conscious. Who would not want to endeavor for such a thing?
Yeah. That's so true.
I probably said it many times myself, but somehow when you said it, it had special potency. It really popped in my heart. It took it to a whole new level of realization that all our problems are over. We think about, even throughout the day, so many things that we relate to that really have nothing to do with our soul. Someone offends us, or someone doesn't like us, or our physical problems. I've got to go to a dermatologist today because I'm always having problems with skin cancer. I was having a problem reading something on my phone. My eyes are getting worse. Anyway, our life is it's like a litany of problems from the day we're born from the materialist till the day he dies. And we'll have problems right up until the point when we finally surrender to Krishna. And I would say that it's true that to whatever degree we are surrendering to Krishna, to that degree the relevancy of our problems is decreasing. Yes, we still have problems. I'm not going to say I feel the loss of the burden of all problems. but they become more and more insignificant. To whatever degree we're realizing a relationship with Krishna, simultaneously we realize that I have nothing to do with this material world. And to that degree, our problems all go away. So as problems come up for me today and in future days, I'm going to be remembering what you said, that all of our problems are over when we become Krishna conscious. Anyway, I just wanted to say I had a great realization from that as you said that today.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's really nice. Like Prabhupada was pointing out how these spiritual books are our life force, and how we're just spending our life force sustaining these bones, and how he was saying how just people are just simply protecting their bones and their flesh, but they don't have any spiritual idea. But this is our real life forces from these books. So he wants us to go on printing that is real life.
So when you said our bones and so on, I was thinking that, okay, so now we could all try this exercise. I want to try it. As soon as the next problem pops up in my day, which will probably be within seconds, let's trace it. Okay, now what does this problem relate to? Is it my body? Okay, I'm not my body. Is it my false ego? Okay, I'm not my false ego. Is it my future in this world? Well, hell, there's no real future in this world. We're leaving soon.
Or stones. He said bones and stones.
Yeah.
Some stone.
So I think if we take any problem, we can see what does this problem relate to? Where do you connect the dot? How is this problem affecting me? What does it actually affect? And then we'll realize that we have nothing. That's not us. It's not our home.
Yeah.
It's not our real identity. It's not, the body isn't ours. The false ego isn't ours. Every problem has to relate to something that has nothing to do with our soul.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we realize our relationship with Krishna, Aham Brahmasmi, that I am Jivara Svarapo Nitya Krishna Das, that's all I am. I'm eternal spirit soul. These problems are finished.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, huh? We get concerned with other things besides the living force. Dead things. Amazing. Prabhupada knew that so much. That's why he was so eager to get this knowledge out there. So concerned for us. Amazing. Jai, thank you, Narhari. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
And Ramananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for giving the class.
Yeah, thank you for being here, for listening.
This is a little embarrassing, but it might help me and maybe somebody else. So since you really want to be asked questions, that's kind of the theme of the class today. You said Krishna, it was a list of things. You know, Krishna is our son, and Krishna should be the object of our conjugal love. So last night I had a dream that I was kissing a snake. And that's really gross. Yuck. But in the dream I was actually enjoying it. So I was thinking this morning I must have some kind of desire for conjugal love. And you just said that sentence and it stuck out at me like, oh, Krishna should be the object of my conjugal love. But I also know, or I learned when I first became a devotee, that I shouldn't think of myself embracing Krishna or kissing Krishna. That would be offensive. So how does one, namely me, realize their conjugal relationship with Krishna?
That's simply by engaging in devotional service, hearing and chanting. We become cleansed to a point where we'll actually see what our position is with Krishna. And our spiritual master, he will reveal it to us. He said he's always with us. He's mentioning how I'm always with you in these books and my instructions. So the spiritual master continues to guide us. You know, he said everything is here. You know, everything's in my books. I've already written everything. So everything is in his books. So if we just completely study these books, understand them, and then he will be guiding us to that ultimate destination. I don't think we need to really worry about that, you know, like thinking that, oh, maybe that's my position as a conjugal lover of Krishna. Who knows what our original position could be. But, we can't imagine, just like the Sahajas, they think that, oh, if I dress like a gopi in this life, then I'll be a gopi in my next life with Krishna. But that's not how it works. But we have to actually just follow the process, and the process works, that Krishna will reveal to us what our eternal, that's our whole goal, is to get our eternal, what they call it, the Sarupa Siddhi, our eternal position with Krishna. It'll be revealed. And it's something to look forward to. A loving, beautiful relationship with Krishna. All these things that we experience here, all these different rasas here are eternal in the spiritual world. Conjugal relationships, parental relationships, friend relationships. We find that they're all just temporary here, or they come sometime and they're gone. They turn sour. But there in the spiritual world, everything is eternal, ever increasing. At every moment, there's different flavors and different types, different varieties, and like that. So that's something to look forward to.
I was asked the same question last night by the same person that asked that.
Oh yeah? What did you say?
The chanting.
Yeah.
I answered it in a similar way.
Uh-huh.
First of all, because his question was a little bit different. He asked about something like if someone was fell from a Vaikuntha planet or what have you when he was in the world, and would he go back to that position of serving Krishna in awe and reverence, etc. And I said, well, this is such an esoteric question you're asking about, what is our eternal relationship with Krishna, and can that change? And he said that it's really beyond my level of realization at this time, but the most I gave sort of 2 points. Number one, that our relationship with Krishna right now should be the relationship with our spiritual master, and primarily Srila Prabhupada, is that our rasa at this stage is to just be a humble servant and serve the spiritual master, serve Prabhupada's mission, in whatever way that may be, whether we have 1,000 disciples or whether we're just washing pots. Whatever that is, just assisting in this mission as a humble servant. And then, as you said, then within our heart, don't try to see Krishna, act in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. Krishna will reveal himself, and Krishna and Guru from within the heart will reveal that relationship. But then the more complicated part of his question is, what if one is, their Swarup was, previously worshipping Krishna in awe and reverence in a wonderful, wonderful way in the Vaikuntha planets. And I answered that, we are all followers of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya, in my understanding, is taking all of us back to kind of breaking all the rules or what have you. Lord Chaitanya, it's beyond my ability, because I don't understand. And I confess, because I don't fully understand, I can't fully explain. But just in a general sense, that Lord Chaitanya is taking us back to Vrindavan and taking us back to the very intimate pastimes of Krishna, perhaps as a very, very intimate friend, or as a child, or as a conjugal lover. That's my understanding. That's where Lord Chaitanya, that's the amazing quality, Namo Mahabharanaya, Lord Chaitanya is the most magnificent, is taking us to the highest levels of intimacy with Krishna, regardless of what our previous Siddhadeha may have been. This is the great opportunity all of us have to be followers in the line of Lord Chaitanya. What Prabhupada has brought to us, it's just never been available before, to go back to not just Vaikuntha, but go to the topmost supreme planet, Goloka Vrindavan. And these are the very intimate rasas that are taking place there. That's about as far as I could take it, answering the question. But sounds pretty sweet to me, though I may not fully understand it. I'm in line, or I want to stay in line.
That's true. He just bestowed love of God freely to everyone, whether they were qualified or not. It's amazing.
And not just love of God, but the highest levels of love of God.
Yeah.
The highest levels. I mean, love of God is there in all the Vaikuntha planets, but the topmost supreme levels of love, of the most intimate rasas.
Yeah. Jai.
Jai.
There you go.
But for right now, let's just be humble servants of Prabhupada's mission. And
what more do you want? Got the love of God. Jai. Jai, thank you. Nice question. Great question.
My question was really more, what do I do with the feelings of conjugal love that I have now? Like, I don't necessarily want to go find another husband. So what do I do with the feelings of conjugal love that I have now? How do I put them onto Krishna or transform them, or what? That was more my question.
Yeah, you just, develop that love for Krishna. You just repose it towards Krishna, all the love that we have. It actually belongs to Krishna anyway. We may have a dream about this and that, but, the dream just basically may show our desires. And what are our desires? Our desires is that we want to experience some kind of pleasure, some kind of happiness, some kind of satisfaction. And we know where to get that. So we just want to repose that towards the source of that, the reservoir of pleasure. And that's Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya is teaching us how to get there, how to get it. So just take up Lord Chaitanya's movement of hearing and chanting and distributing transcendental literatures and distributing his messages, and then you'll experience that. That is experiencing that love. It's the love for Lord Chaitanya, the love for Krishna, the love for Prabhupada, distributing his messages and their messages will make us completely satisfied.
Also, there's other things you can do too. Is you can use that for understanding. There's a lot of insight that when you have feelings like that you can use for insight into Krishna consciousness. It's just because there are feelings, and we understand the root of where those feelings come from, and it's just being directed improperly. But the feelings themselves, that desires, that give you some nice insights. So you can also use it like that. Krishna will reveal through that.
Sorry.
Was that dream kissing Krishna on the neck? There was some background noise here. What was the dream?
Kissing a snake.
A snake?
Which sounds really gross. It's really gross when you think about it, but in the dream I was actually enjoying it. I know, gross, huh?
No, I think then Madan's answer really fits perfectly. Madan's comment was right on. Yeah, just see that's our desires for intimacy. And whatever that object. We want intimacy. We want love, and everything is really part of Krishna.
I was thinking of the situation that what it's like when you don't have it is also that there's a longing. So you can also notice that we're looking for adverse to Krishna. Like in this world, we look for someone else besides Krishna. So like in this world, there's the love triangle, they always say, that it doesn't line up. But if you think about Krishna, you can think that he's letting you see what it feels like to want you want something besides him. Actually, that love is for him, but you're thinking to look at it from someone else. So in this world, it never lines up. So you can use it to recognize what it feels like when we're not allowing Krishna to be the recipient of our love because we're looking for someone else. So when we look for someone else, we also find that that person is looking for someone else. So they don't reciprocate with us in this world. So that way you can just see, oh, I'm actually causing Krishna to also feel this not having the reciprocation. I guess it's a little hard for me to explain, but like an empathetic.
No, that love triangle, that's something that I'll be able to think about and remember. That's a common metaphor. Thank you.
Yeah, because that's set up. That's what this world, more or less, that's the most common experience that people have, or unrequited love. But we're Krishna's unrequited love. And we're asking Krishna to fix us up with one of his lovers. You know, I mean, when you think about it, it can get really quite horrible. And of course, the result of that is that one stays in this material world to suffer birth, death, disease, and old age, as long as that desire isn't redirected towards Krishna. So there's more to it when you can also think about it in a repentant way. Like there's a word penance, but then you can do it later on, and you can call it repent, you know, where you can think of the violation in the heart of wanting to go out with Krishna's girlfriend, or, you know, I mean, it's, when you think about it in matters of the heart, it takes it to a different realm of sensitivity to what we're actually. Krishna has feelings. We don't always consider that he has feelings for us, and we're not reciprocating them. What's it feel like when someone doesn't reciprocate feelings of love with you? This material world is everyone's experience. So just to relate it like that would be quite a deepening understanding of the philosophy, because the transformation takes place in the heart. It may be too hard to explain, but that's the gist of it.
Can you see that on the screen? Can you see that I wrote something on the screen? Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Best way to please me is to love Krishna.
That's your handwriting?
Yeah, I discovered something. You can actually write on your slides here with this keynote. A new discovery. So I can have my comments written down.
That's nice.
Isn't that cool? So the Prabhupada one is to love Krishna. Please me by loving Krishna. That's that story where the devotees thought, oh, let's ask Prabhupada what's the best service to please you. You know, they're all book distributors. And they're all thinking, yeah, let's settle this once and for all. What's the best way to please Prabhupada? And then the Prabhupada said, you please me best by loving Krishna.
Because if you think about it, how can you explain and talk about love philosophically? You know, it's very fascinating. So we're giving symptoms of what it's like when someone has it. But how do you describe it? You know, they act like this, they do like that, but it's a description different than the actual experience. So then it says, well, if you're doing this, you won't get it, you know. But it's a you got your little red button.
I'm just discovering things here.
All right, because there's a book that Prema Supata, how do you say it? The Love Locket, and in there they're having a conversation, Radharani and Krishna, and Radharani is, of course, she doesn't know it's Krishna at the time. He's playing a trick on her, and she's saying that love is one of those things that when you go to describe it, it goes away. It doesn't lend itself to descriptions. You know, you can describe pastimes, but love itself, it's very difficult to clear, because what's the reason, that you want to hear? It actually gets very intriguing to get into the subject matter itself. So these great commentators, they write or scripts or plays where they can put these intriguing thoughts in there. That's what I say.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. I guess getting kind of late, huh? Not
a bit after.
So, I guess if you like, we could end here.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for all your questions and answers. I feel
everyone.
enlivened. All glories to Srila
Thank you all.
Prabhupada.
See you in 2 weeks. Go to Chi. Thank you, Prabhu.
Jai, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Hare
Bye. Hare Bol.